welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entertainment and entrepreneurship. Guys, it's been a while. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited. If I seem more excited than usual, it's because I am. We haven't recorded a podcast in like 3 weeks because me and Barry have been extremely busy doing our other
Albert
things.
filed for divorce.
That is a lie, Valerie. I have not filed the papers yet. I do have them ready in the back of the car. I'm kidding, okay? I'm kidding, guys. So we're here back, like always, as you guys know. I'm joined by my Barry, what's that?
This is a shirt.
This is a shirt. What? Who's that, Barry? You gonna get banned again?
I don't want to get any more restrictions. You guys, listen, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. If you do want to vote for DJT, you're cool. And if you don't, are you still cool with me? Yes. Albert?
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. The reason why I have this shirt is because it's because I'm listen, wait, time out. Look. Okay. The reason why I have it is not because it says Trump. It's because Truth really upsets most people, and that's the reality of it.
Yeah, you're just like, honey, your breath stinks.
And that hurts.
And she's like, ow.
Yes, I never tell her that, though. I never tell her that. Well, guys, we have a very special podcast for you guys today.
I'm pumped.
We have yet another active duty Marine that's willing to come on record so that way we can talk about the things that matter to you guys. So today, we brought you guys not only an active duty Marine, intelligence Marine, B-billet Marine. She was a female drill instructor, or a drill instructor. I don't like to utilize that term, female drill instructor, right? They're all drill instructors, really. Lily, what's going on? How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for coming on the podcast with us today. I know we had to reschedule you a couple of times, and I want to apologize on the record for that. She was very excited, just as us, by the way. It's just that our schedules, they are freaking crazy.
Oh, I get it.
So yeah, I definitely appreciate you coming over here and sitting down with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's start the podcast outright. What brought you into the A to B podcast?
So I am a big fan of the podcast. I think you guys talk about a lot of things that need to be talked about. And you guys have really interesting people on your podcast. I'm not doing it for any of my personal gain or anything. I'm doing it for people who might be struggling with mental health, physical health, or just taking care of themselves. And things that people don't relatively talk about a lot is your mental health during an SDA, and especially after. Nobody talks about when you get off the drill field, how do you feel emotionally, spiritually, and then of course physically, because I know your feet will never feel the same way ever again, because mine don't.
Gotcha.
But
I still got toenails that won't grow back.
Really?
That's
weird. I haven't seen your toenails
in a while.
It's probably for a reason.
Okay, so those are very interesting topics, and I agree with you 100%. Those are things that don't get talked a lot, and the reason why they don't, in my opinion, why they don't get talked a lot is because of the fear of reprisal. So specifically, once you get to those higher billets, you know that you have to be seeking more responsibilities, and in reality, do those things, and that's what we really want to touch on, do those things really impact you? You're seeking the help that you need. Does that impede you from being a better leader, or does that make you a better leader?
I think it makes you a better leader, but it is going to hold you back. It's going to.
Why?
Well, I mean, think about it. Let's say we're getting ready, we're doing some workup, we're doing some deployment, we're going to whatever it is, right? And you're over here, I'm having these mental health issues. I'm going to, the wizard. That's what everybody in the Marine Corps calls it. You're going to the wizard, and all of a sudden you're on some antidepressants. People are going to go, yeah, but can we really put them on this billet?
Well, sometimes it's not even antidepressants, though. Let's be honest with you. Like, if you get to the level of like where you have to be medicated, some stuff, then we need to do a timeout, right?
Sure.
But come on, man. Like, some of these things, like the anxiety. Nobody talks about that type of stuff. I know we're definitely going to be talking about it, but the anxiety that you feel, that how when we're boot camp, we get told about Cooper's different color codes.
Cooper's color code.
Cooper color code. You know, when you're in the green, when you're in the yellow, the orange, and I think the following black is the black, right?
Catastrophic breakdown.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you know those things, and it's ever since boot camp, I feel I've been borderline yellow.
You went to boot camp?
orange. I did go
Well,
to
on
the real
East
boot
Coast,
camp.
They just you signed the line and you're in.
Here we go.
And
I did not miss this part of the
we
podcast, guys.
started together now.
Barry, the
We're
polls
gonna
continue to say
finish
different.
Together now.
My polls continue to crush you.
Recruits.
By the way, thank you guys for all the ones
We're
that
together.
for all the ones that follow us.
I got so many DMs, dude.
And, yeah, so Barry, there's a quick side story before we listen. Barry calls me up the other day and was like, Albert, like, what the hell did you say on the podcast that I have all of these DMs, people demanding an apology from me? And it's because in one of the previous podcasts,
For real. Apologize right now. And I'm like, who are you, dude? For what? First, two things. Who are you? Number two, for what?
hey, just so you know, they are the most amazing followers
No.
in the podcast because they went to MCRD Paris Island. I'm kidding. I love MCRD San Diego too.
We do.
Okay, so going back to Lily, right? So we're gonna be talking about mental health. We're gonna be talking about all of these issues, you know, from SDA, previous from the SDA, after the SDA. But I want to know because we're gonna be talking about mental health. So I want to set a baseline, and that usually starts like, who were you before you joined the Marine Corps? And then we're gonna be talking about who the person that you have transformed while being a Marine. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So where are you from originally?
New York, Long Island, New York.
Okay, and how old were you when you joined?
I was 17, so I signed my contract 4 days after my 17th birthday.
Wow.
It's actually a funny story. Hurricane Sandy hit, and that was like during my birthday. I was obviously still a senior in high school, and it was like right after the hurricane. I'm like, Mom, can you please take me to the recruiters? I need to sign my contract. And of course, I mean, she had to come with me with my dad, but here I am dragging my parents to the recruiting office, and then a nor'easter was coming, and then it was right after the nor'easter, snow everywhere. We barely have power, barely have gas, and I'm being brought to MEPS, have to sleep on a cot in the hotel, and
Damn,
there I
that's
was.
crazy.
I was ready. I couldn't wait. Ain't no hurricane stopping me.
So
But what made you want to join?
It was 9/11. So I was 6 years old when that happened. I'm a 95 baby. So I just vividly remember being a kid and looking. We had a family friend in Jersey, and looking over the Hudson and looking at the towers, and I was just so mesmerized. I'm like, oh, these are so cool. I love New York. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I'm going back to New York when I get out. But yeah, no, I was 6 years old. My mom was supposed to fly that day. She was supposed to go to London.
Wow, she was
Yeah.
supposed to be on a plane.
She was supposed to be on. It wasn't one of the planes, but it. I mean, it could have been. You never.
yeah, nobody
Sure.
knew which
What
plane
was
it was.
happening.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, we smelled ashes from my house.
Wow.
Even though we're like 20, 30 miles away.
Wow.
I lived right outside of Queens, like maybe 20 minutes from Queens, but regardless, yeah, I smelled the ashes from my house, and I think it was from there. That's what my mom says, at least, is that's when I was really interested in the military. And actually, I even remember there was like a fair or something, and I did the arm hang, because back then it was still the arm
Yeah, it was
hang, and I was
arm
like
hang.
7 years old, and I got a t-shirt because I maxed out the flexed arm hang at like 7
At
years
7? What an
Damn, that's
animal.
great. Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Wow, that's impressive.
So you used to do
I
sports
don't even think
as
I
well?
could max it out today.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
It sucked.
What
I
is the
hated it.
flex arm hang for those that don't even remember?
It's where you stay at the flexed position of like a pull-up, and then you have to stay for what I think the max was 70 seconds, but as long as your elbow is flexed, the time kept going.
So if you guys are watching this, I want you to try that 70 seconds. Okay. Chin above the bar, and then you can come down, but your arms have to stay bent, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That was like the secret if you kept it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and
Dude.
send Barry. Barry told me before the podcast, like, send the videos to Barry
Wow.
Okay, send the videos to Barry
Wow.
of you doing the flex arm
Wow.
hack. He wants to see all of you guys
Wow.
doing the flex arm hack
With clothes on,
with clothes on,
guys, appropriate ones.
Okay, so so if you were to do that, did you play sports growing up as well?
I was interested in soccer, but actually, fun fact: the sport that I played varsity in high school was actually badminton.
No
Okay.
Swear to
way.
God, yep.
Oh,
Badminton.
interesting.
It wasn't any rough sport. I mean, depending on who you play, though, badminton could get really intense. So I don't want to hear nobody knocking on it yet
No.
until you play someone who has played that shit their whole life, and you're gonna get ran. But it was a good sport. It was just fun.
Got you. So at age 17, you were already locked and loaded. You knew that you wanted to join.
Yep, I was ready.
Okay, how was it walking into the recruiting office?
Oh, it was funny. It was my friend. She took me to one of their PTs, and it was like the one PT they're running through, like standing water. I guess it rained really hard the day before, and we're like waist high in the water running, and I was like, oh, I love this shit. And I had already knew like I wanted to join at that point, but she brought me to the recruiter, Sergeant Torres, and he was like, oh, what do you want to do after high school? I'm like, join the Marine Corps. He's like, well, that was easy. I'm like, you're welcome.
Okay, so Barry, I'm not gonna allow you to speak at this moment right now
Because
okay?
we know.
I already know where
Okay.
he's gonna go.
We
with
do
it.
know. We understand.
I'll have you know, I
There you
love
go.
recruiters.
Oh, thank you.
I worked really hand in hand with recruiters when I was at receiving and a senior drill instructor. So
I just want to say every guest we've had is just,
They are.
I signed me.
You know, it's because
Put me in,
it's because
coach.
you know the reason why, right? Is because
and Albert hates it.
no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. It's just that it sends a wrong impression on recruiting.
Because he used to have to take single mothers out to dinner when he was on recruiting.
No, that's a lie.
I've heard that.
a lie.
And
I've
yeah,
heard that.
dude, just
that's
close
I
the deal.
never had to do
I
that.
will pay for your dinner.
I never had to do that. I paid for their kids' dinner sometimes. You can also say I paid for Costco pizza, things of that nature. But you know, let me do a side note, right? Because you are right. Like almost all of the all of the people that come into the podcast are like that. And I'm gonna tell you why I think it is. It's my personal opinion. You can agree or disagree. You both can agree or disagree with me, right? I think that the reason why the people that come onto the podcast are people that most people that was like, hey man, I just walked in, is because we from a very young age decided to give our blood, sweat, and tears to this institution. And then sometimes we feel that the institution doesn't give us the love back. That's what I feel, you know, and then once you realize like, oh man, like this is temporary. Like I started this at a young age, you know, but in reality, even if I decide to do 20 or 30 years, this is temporary. And that's when you start to realize like, man, like while I'm here, I'm going to make an impact. And in order for you to make an impact, you need to be vocal about things. You know, and you need to make yourself available out there as a leader in order for you to impact the most amount of Marines. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's just the reason why I think that most people that come on the podcast walk in here is because we dedicate our entire lives to this institute, our entire adult lives to this institution. I don't know.
At least the prime years of your adult life, like
Yeah.
your 20s. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think in order to be a leader, sometimes you have to be vocal. You have to say the things that people don't want to hear, whether it's to a sergeant major, whether it's to a PFC. You have
Yeah.
to do the tough
Have you ever
things.
been in that type of position before? Like anything that sticks out?
As in, like, telling one of my leaders the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. Honestly, looking back on it, I think I was always the one to say something that nobody else wanted to say. And there's actually a vivid memory because I was FAP to PMO for 6 months in Cherry Point, which is a temporary duty for the civilians who watch this that don't know. But we had a corporal. Well, it was like a band of corporals that were, let's just say they lacked emotional intelligence. They did things that just were dumb. I mean, yeah, like Marines mess up and everything, but there's no reason to have us standing out in the middle of a field at 12 a.m. With all our gear, and then them yelling at a lance corporal to scream back "I corporal" as if they were drill instructors or something. So it was getting really, I wouldn't say like terribly bad, but it was like bad. It was like, this is dumb.
Like hazing type bad?
I wouldn't go as far as hate, like sometimes borderline, yeah, but it was just really stupid. It didn't make sense. So you could tell in the platoon was kind of like all mopey and sad, and then the staff sergeant brought us in like, what's going on, and nobody wanted to say anything. And I had like, I've already been like, I was like, I'm over this. Like,
Were you a lance corporal at the time?
Yes, I was actually on like, I was the Mickey East Marine of the Quarter and on for meritorious corporal too. So I had like things to lose if this would have went terribly, but luckily it didn't. Yeah, the staff sergeant was just like, oh, what's going on? And everyone was like, cricket. And I'm just like, well, staff sergeant, their morale is down the toilet in the drain. That's literally what I said. I should have definitely said something more, or like just said more fluff to that. But
You mean tact? Tactful,
tactful, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just so over it, and I was also like tired. I'm like, I'm just gonna tell him like, we're not happy. So
Yeah.
And then he finally talked to the corporals, and then it stopped. I'm like, wow, all it took was to say like something stupid like our morale is down.
Now,
the toilet.
a lot of people are going, because I know if I think it, I know a lot of the viewership is going to be thinking this. Do you feel that the staff sergeant listened to you more because you were a female, or you think it would have been the same impact if it would have came from a male?
See, I've had experiences with both of these issues. I've had people not listen to me probably because I'm a female. I mean, I can't confirm it, but probably because I'm a female. And then I've had people maybe listen to me because I'm a female. Honestly, I've been very lucky in the Marine Corps to where I haven't been hit on by like a staff NCO or anything like a corporal. I've been really lucky with that. Have I had like weird encounters? Yeah, but it has never been like to the point where I have to like report it or go that route. But no, I think I'd like to think it was more so just for just due to my reputation at that point that he listened to me. And because I was the only one that opened
like,
their
you're
mouth.
a good Marine. You've been a top performer. You're proving yourself, in your field, and you come over here and you're with PMO and you're proving yourself again. Mm-hmm. So when you kind of piped up and said, hey, like, did you feel responsible as a leader? Even though you were a Lance Corporal, did you feel like, I've got to do something?
Yeah, no, I watched like this. I watched this Lance Corporal start tearing up in the middle of the platoon while we were in formation, and I was like, "This is so stupid, like this is so dumb." And I'm just like, I have to say something at this point because he's here asking. So, I mean, he asked for it, so I'm gonna answer.
And the corporals were there.
I don't think they were. No, they weren't.
So he had.
I know the type of formations that those are.
Sure.
The type of formations that were like, hey, E3 and below, come over here. And then they asked for like the E4 and E5s, like the NCOs, come here, like those type of formations. Yeah. They used to be very common back in the day. I don't think now, I mean, and you guys let us know in the comments, but I don't think they're that common nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think they're that common. Okay, so you walked into the recruiting office. You told them that you were ready to go. How long? You were a senior still. Mm-hmm. So how long were you in the delayed entry? How long were you in the delayed entry program?
9 months, 10 months.
Okay, so literally almost your entire senior year.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how was that preparation? And what advice do you have for females that could be currently in the delayed entry program with your experiences as a drill instructor, knowing what you know now? What would you tell them to best prepare now in the delayed entry program?
I would say the biggest thing, and then one thing I was also grateful for was I had a family friend who told me like the truth about being a woman in the Marine Corps. And she was very blunt, and she's like, you have to outperform them. Like the physical is like the first one they see. So I worked really hard on running. The pull-ups were starting to phase in at that point. So I knew like, okay, I can max out the arm hang, like whatever. I'm going to move into pull-ups. So I got to like 15 pull-ups, and it was these ones. I forget.
Chin-ups?
The chin-ups, yes. I got to like 15. I ran all the time, and I practiced my crunches. And then another big thing I'd advise, especially women, our hips are probably the most common injury. If you strengthen your muscle around your lower extremities, they're less likely to get injured because your muscle will protect the bone.
I think you're right. Like the majority of the injuries that happen for females are hip injuries. Yeah. So definitely working that area, not just the pull-ups, like doing specific targeted exercises.
Yeah,
for that.
sure.
Well, what exercises can females do to
There's a ton. I mean, squats for one, deadlifts, abductors, adductors. I mean, I would, if you did a ton of that type of stuff, Bulgarian split squats, lunges, I mean, your hips are going to be super, you're going to have a little dump truck back there. Watch out.
Okay.
Careful with those height weight standards.
Yeah, no, dude, exactly. They used to get me all the time, like, Barry, your butt is so big. I'm like, I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. I made that up, you guys. I apologize.
So you trained for 10 months when you came into the delayed entry program. So that way I can tie this in later on.
Well, so hold on. So your question initially was, what can a female poolee do to prepare for boot camp? You're saying, one, the truth about being a woman in the Marine Corps, which is super like, wow, what does that mean? Physical. Be physically fit.
Absolutely.
How physically fit? How many pull-ups should a young woman exactly in the delayed entry program need to be able to do, in your opinion, as a DI?
Coming from the depth, oh gosh. I mean, I'd say you can't go wrong with having at least 10. Just because when you get to boot camp, you're already tired. You might not be feeling that good on the IST, and the next thing you know, tears rolling down your cheeks because you didn't reach the minimum pull-ups because you've been traveling for X amount of time, and add on being up awake like all night. So just train for more. As
a DI monitoring the pull-ups, what were you saying to those recruits? Were you encouraging them? You can do it, or were you like,
I was like, you got it, recruit. I believe in you.
Like, what was it? Was it just like super hateful?
Internally, yeah. I mean, I was more so focused on counting, but if like they couldn't do it, I'd be like, seriously, like you didn't think to go to a gym before coming to Marine Corps recruit training? That was probably like my punchline. Like, seriously? We serious right now?
Yeah, so if you're listening and you're out there, go to the damn gym.
That's the worst question. It's specifically with the way that she asked it. It's like,
you were coming to Marine Corps boot camp, you didn't even think. Nobody around you thought.
Or just get
so
like
you and your family and your friends.
Or just get like the pull-up bar in your doorway. That's what I had as a teenager. Every time I opened the door, I owed like a max set of pull-ups, and oh my gosh, there you go.
That's a good tip.
Pull-ups went up. Wow. What?
Okay, what about
running? Okay, so I've never been a big runner. I ran to pass, but I've never been a fast runner.
Sure.
Like above 285 PFT runner. Even when I was a hat, running was not my.
What's that time for females? Because I don't remember what it is.
For IST
or PFT.
I forget what the max is. I think it's 30 minutes for a max. It might be 31 now. No, I think it's 30 for a PFT.
To fail. That's a fail.
Can you look that up, Jose? What is the max time for females on the PFT?
I know the minimum, like to get 100 points, is 21. But for the IST, if it hasn't changed, it was back then 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I used to linger around like the 12:30 mark.
Mm-hmm.
I would always like try to train to the male standards, honestly, as much as I could. The running, I mean, it wasn't always successful. but I always tried to be able to run a good male PFT or male CFT.
Got you. Now, when you were in this phase as a teenager in the delayed entry program, so that way I can tie this in later on, how was your mental state?
I was ready. I was bought in.
Okay, but were you a happy type person beforehand? Did you have like any type of like trauma or anything that you brought into the Marine Corps or anything like that? No. So pretty standard baseline thing. You were just a happy, regular 17, 18-year-old teenage girl.
Yeah, I had a good family. I mean, I still do. I literally just joined for service to country. No benefits. I didn't even know what benefits there were. I just joined because I wanted to do it.
Okay. Now, during boot camp, for you, not as a recruit, but I'm sorry, not as a drill instructor, but as a recruit, how was that experience for you?
I was just happy to be there. Like the drill instructors would tell us like, "Oh, you guys don't want to be here," and I never understood it until I became a drill instructor. And no, I was like when the bus was pulling up to Paris Island, I was just like, "Oh wow!" I've seen all the videos on YouTube, and I was like, "Oh, there's this sign." I'm like, "Oh wow, this is so cool." And then Black Friday happened, or I think it was Saturday at that whatever. But
what's Black Friday?
They changed it.
Did they really?
It could be it was Saturday and then Friday.
When I was a recruiter, it was Black Friday.
Let's call it Black Friday.
What was it?
It could be Saturday.
I think it was Saturday.
It could be Black Saturday.
For those who don't know what that is.
It is when you meet your team of drill instructors that will train you for the next 13 weeks. And it is a whole lot of fun.
So sign up today.
Sign up today.
Yeah. What was it like when you were a drill instructor? I know we're kind of skipping ahead, but like, do you remember like marching out?
Yeah. It was like an adrenaline rush, honestly. I mean, depending on what billet you were. I think as a new hat, like my first cycle, I was just like,
this is so much pain.
I was like, I'm just trying to not mess this up. And then second, third cycle, I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. And then as a heavy, now they call it experienced drill instructor, but heavy J, whatever coast you're on. As a heavy, I was just like, okay, I have to count like the blue bags. I really can't mess this up. And then I have to go back and change. Then I have to get this started, set up the deck, blah, blah, blah. Like I had stuff to do. And then as a senior, I was just like, oh my God, like going through my speech like 50 times in my head before.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's as far as I went cycles wise. But yeah, no,
what's your favorite part of the senior drill instructor speech?
Oh gosh, I'd say at the end, like, never quit or give up.
That's so funny. That's my favorite part because, obviously we're both in the business, corporate America, whatever you want to call it now. And that's what I tell people. Mm-hmm. My attitude has always been, this is going to work because I'm not going to quit until it works.
Yeah.
And that's how you make sure something works.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, honestly, so that's funny that you say that. That's really cool though. Because that's like I used to love that part. Never quit, never give up. You know?
And you could like full would say with your whole chest and everything.
Yeah, of course.
So the maximum time, he looked it up. So the maximum time for is 30:50.
Yeah.
Okay. So
to fail a PFT.
To fail a PFT.
That's 3 miles.
Yeah, 3 miles in 30 minutes and 50 seconds. And the minimum amount of points that you get is 40 points.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to clarify that.
So they're females in the depth. So, being a female, males are going to be looking at you like, can you perform?
Yeah.
So advice tip number 1, get as fit as humanly possible.
Yep. Take away any factor that could possibly be used against you as best as you possibly can. Because
Sure.
I'd be a hypocrite if I'd say like, yeah, I ran really fast. Like, no, I'm
Sure.
not a fast runner. I don't really care to be.
So be honest with yourself. That could be another one. You have to be honest with yourself into what your real capabilities are. Because they're probably, specifically recruiters, are probably going to be hyping you up. Be like, oh, yeah, you're doing great. But that's because they don't want to pressure you. It's specifically in my experience as a recruiter, because looking at it, switching the standpoint, right? If you get a female alpha in the delayed entry program, which, by the way, for recruiters that are out there, they know that female bravos, this was my experience. Female bravos are females that score 49 or less in the ASVAB. They're really hard to recruit. What the Marine Corps wants is female alphas, meaning females that pass with more than 50 on the ASVAB. The thing is, the problem with that is that most females, at least again in my experience, the ones that scored more than 50, they were the ones that were in horrible shape.
That's typically how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
they're smarter, they're hitting the books harder, and they're hitting the
gym.
books.
They're not hitting the gym that much, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be honest with yourself, because the way that the recruiters score those things is by points. So female alphas are worth 4 points. Yeah. Okay, and of course, you get those 4 points 2 times. You get those 4 points when you recruit, when that person raises their right hand and says that they're going to defend the Constitution and MEPS, and they get the 4 points once they ship. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important when that's why recruiters are going to hype you up, because they don't want to lose those points, because then they're going to have to make them up. Mm-hmm. Once you put them in the system, you're going to have to make them up. Yeah. So that's why recruiters might be like, oh, well, she might not be doing the greatest job, but fuck it. You know, like, shit, I don't want her to quit.
1459, you're doing great.
Yeah, you know,
you've got it.
You know, so, and again, you have to be realistic with yourself, and don't expect the recruiter to be like, oh well, you know, yeah. This might not be all recruiters, because I know some recruiters like me that will just straight you straight up to your face, like, hey, you fucking suck, and because. And some people might be, oh well, she's a female, but I don't give a fuck. She's joining the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. She's joining the Marine Corps. I'd rather her quit here than her drill instructors make her quit down there. So that's why I was always very honest with my female applicants, and I didn't really have that many, but I was always very honest with my female applicants. I always told us like, no, if you fucking suck, you suck. I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah.
So going back, so boot camp. That experience for you, how was it?
It was good. I didn't have any physical struggles. I mean, PT sucked. Yeah. I actually never got individually IT'd. I don't know how I made it through the cracks.
Really?
It was only as a platoon.
I'm gonna love this.
And with the 9 other girls on the quarterdeck. But I don't know how I made it. I think it's because I was a little gear locker recruit and I hid in there. But I just did what I was told. I was just happy to be there, learn about the Marine Corps and everything. I mean, it was my passion. So, yeah, I don't know.
How was your mental state there? Were you just ready to rock and roll, ready to hit MCT?
Yeah. I was just ready to become a Marine, make my parents proud, make myself proud.
You remember your drill instructors?
Yeah, I still talk to them.
Yeah, who are they?
I'm not telling you.
Are they still in?
I'm not saying, because I never got caught getting IT'd, so I don't want them.
Okay. She's smart. Smart.
Who's your favorite?
All of them.
Give me a billet.
My heavy.
You're heavy. Okay, if there's one thing you could say to your heavy that maybe you've never told her before, you know, what does she mean to you? What does she represent to you?
I'd say she was the embodiment of everything I wanted to be. And she taught me everything I needed to know about the Marine Corps and how to be, how to look, and just what working hard actually means. She had a little slogan saying, what was it? Stay humble, stay hungry. And that has stuck with me for the past 11 years.
Now, I got a question for you. Did your drill instructors ever tell you that in order for you to be successful, you have to be a bitch?
No, never heard that. Well, I've heard that, but never heard that during boot camp.
Yeah, the bit, because it's like the 3 things, right? You have to be gay, you have to be a slut, or you have to be a bitch, right? That's the 3 options.
Yeah.
Or am I totally making this up?
I mean, I'm already
if you leave me hanging, well, I'm just
Okay.
saying, if you leave me hanging, they're going to murder me in the comments like normal. Okay, so, but is that like a real thing that...
Yeah, no, I've definitely been told that. I've heard that. some days, I mean, I'm already gay, so that's process of elimination there.
Okay.
Never really been a slut, and I mean, we all have our bitchy days, so.
Okay, so how do you recommend for female Marines to conduct themselves? Besides, because we already had this conversation. I don't know if you saw that podcast that we had, but we already had this conversation with a master gunnery sergeant, right? And she was very,
vocal.
She was very vocal. It's like, you have to be a professional.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, great. What does that mean?
So, staying professional. So, yeah, there's obviously everyone's going to say not everyone, but people are more subject to call you a bitch if you stay professional. If you stay with the customs and courtesies and you actually have a command presence and you don't play, then people are going to call you a bitch because they don't like it. Mm-hmm. And that's the people that...
You're not following into their little games or whatever. Because sometimes they do like to play little games. And sometimes people do try to get a one-up on you just because they have a higher rank under collar than you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's jump ahead. What is your MOS?
Signals intelligence. And within that, I am an ISR systems engineer. So the IT, radios, satellite dishes, the comm of intel.
What's an ISR?
Intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance system. So any type of piece of gear that works for or supports intelligence operations.
Okay, and is that what you...
We used to have them in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that what you wanted to do when you first joined?
So it's a funny story. I studied really hard for the ASVAB. I wanted to be intel. I ended up getting 83 on the ASVAB, was really happy. I go to recruit training, and whoever was the master sergeant on Parris Island in 2013, I hate you.
He was an 8412. That's a common sentiment towards 8412s.
I think it's like a duty station for intel Marines that could go there because it's where they do it's the recruit screening office.
Yeah, no, those are 8412s.
Are they?
Yeah, those are 8412s, and they're the ones that actually do. They're like the monitors, I guess, for like kind of like recruits. I guess at that stage, right? They're the ones that like look at the package, and then they're the ones that make sure that you get cut orders to the right school. So they do screen you, So in other words, they work very closely with the people that do like the moment of truth. Because if you pop and you say something in the moment of truth, then they'll look at your paperwork and they'll say, hey, no, this person said that he had marijuana usage in excess of this. This person no longer qualifies for his job, so we have to give him another job. Mm-hmm. So if you're out there and your dumbass is thinking of saying something that hasn't said to the recruiter already, and you say it in the moment of truth, and your job indicates that if you say that, or if you have done that, you will no longer rate your job. Just a little bit of piece of advice, okay? Because obviously your recruiter if your recruiter is telling you this, he's doing something illegal. He's helping you fraud you into the United States Marine Corps. And if you say it at the moment of truth, which is the next time that they will tell you, and that person that we're talking about goes down the list and says like, oh yeah, by the way, this person is in excess of marijuana, or let's say a misdemeanor or something like that, your ass is no longer getting the job that you signed for, and it's not the recruiter's job, it's your dumbass fault. So that's what happened. So Facts. Yeah, so you essentially were intel. Yep. And then that's what you wanted to do.
Yes and no. So I went to where they take you to that office where they conduct your security background investigation. Mm-hmm. And then based off your line scores for your ASVAB, I guess I had a really high EL score, which is the electronics one. Mm-hmm. It was like 129. And this is literally only because my dad's an electrical engineer and I would go to him for help, and he like hazed me. He hazed the knowledge into me like without my consent. I did not want all of this information about like electricity, but he taught me. So I paid for it by getting awarded the MOS of 2651. Mm. And I was expecting, like, I'm going to be an analyst, which is more so what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I got the field, but I didn't get the specific job that I wanted. Now, all respect to 2651s. I love everyone I've met, and love the things that I've had the opportunity to learn and do, but it wasn't my calling for sure. Not that I was like terrible at it. I mean, some might say, I mean, there's probably someone out there that will say I'm terrible, whatever. But I learned.
It's
what
not
I
what you
needed
were
to.
passionate about.
Yeah. I've seen like the Marines that are really good at that specific job is like the nerds, like with all love to nerds, like they like build computers in their spare time. And do all that.
Jeez.
So yeah,
That's pretty good.
Okay, so, but you're still that job, right? Because you're still active.
Yep.
Okay, so why didn't you do a lateral move?
So I thought about it. I was looking at O241, so the imagery intel guys. But then I was like, okay, well, I really want to be a drill instructor. And I wanted to be a drill instructor since I graduated boot camp.
Okay.
As I was leaving Parris Island, I'm like, no, I want to come back. And I was like, okay, I could lat move, and God forbid, like I fall wrong or something, and I don't get to be a drill instructor. Like, what will I be able to live with later on in life with what I can't do? So I put like imagery intel on the side. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I picked drill instructor.
Okay, so we're gonna get there, but so your first duty station, if I'm not mistaken, then it was Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Cherry Point, North Carolina. Okay. And then you were a Lance Corporal, so I'm guessing you did your job for very little time, and then you got what's it
Sent to
called?
PMO?
TAD'd out.
To PMO, yeah. I got fapped out to PMO like 6 months into the fleet.
Is there any particular reason, or they just needed a name?
They just needed a name. And I was very upset. I was very, very upset. I like even talked to my poor staff NCO, who I'm like good friends with now. I was like, why are you sending me, man? And I was like upset. But it was actually ended up working out really well. I got meritoriously promoted to corporal there. I was the Marine of the Quarter for the East Coast.
And when you're on the FAP, they're the ones that put you up for it.
Yes. Yep.
Dude, shout out to the FAP Command.
Yeah, I know.
Fleet Assistance Program. You were mad. You were like, I don't want to do this. You went, and it forever just changed the trajectory of like your career and your life, right?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, watch
So
this.
what would you say to people out there who are going on a FAP and they're like, I'm pissed. I don't want to freaking, because I didn't want to either. And I remember you felt like you were getting fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember because it's not even the actual job. You know the part that always sucks about that, and I want to go back to the question that Barry asked, by the way. But the part that really sucks is Marines that most likely have never done it or sucked at it. That always tells you, oh, dude, you're gonna go up there. It's always the battalion jobs, by the way. It's like, oh, you're gonna go up there, dude. That place freaking sucks. Like the duties, you're gonna have duty like something like PMO, right? It's like you're gonna have duty like 1 day off, 3 days on. Like this, that shit freaking sucks. And then you go there with your mindset like, oh, well, here we go. The fucking black sheep of the company or the black sheep of my section. I'm gonna go, and that's not a good feeling. You know, so again, what advice do you have? Because obviously you did very well because you got selected, you know, for meritorious corporal. So what advice do you have for those Marines that are getting fapped out of their sections or their companies?
I'd say 1, know your worth. 2, do something that scares you. I asked for it. I'm like, can I go on board? Because I knew I feel like I'm a decent Marine. Like, let's go for it. What's the worst that could happen? They say no, like, whatever. And just if you have a crappy situation, try to make the most out of it. See how it could work for you.
Okay, but let me go into detail, right? Because I if I'm looking at this as a corporal, I'm going like, okay, well, what the fuck does that mean, right? It's like, what does like work your ass off really mean? At that point of your career, what had you accomplished that you felt that you could ask to be put on that board?
I'd have to like think back at it. I mean, I was doing what I was supposed to with the PFT, CFT stuff.
So what was do you remember kind of your score? You don't have to be like above 260 or above
Yeah,
270.
it was like high 270s, I think.
Okay.
And then CFT was 300 before they changed.
Okay.
it.
Did you had any type of schooling, meaning outside schooling?
No, I just knew like I'm like I have worth here, and I want to see what I could do with it. I want to see how far I could take myself. I want to challenge myself. I mean, while I was in the process of the boards, I completed corporal's course on MarineNet.
Okay, so
So
PME
you had-
complete.
PME.
Yeah. So well, but above that, because she had gone to the Lance Corporal Leadership and Ethics seminar.
that
No,
was even before.
back then, yeah,
didn't have it?
Yeah, back then, this.
I actually did the very first class on Cherry Point.
As a
So
Lance Corporal.
Yeah, as a Lance Corporal.
Okay, and then as a Lance Corporal, you completed the online portion that's required for corporals.
Yep.
E4s. Okay, so that's
So PME
that's really
complete,
good.
and because I have like a checklist, right? And I want to make sure so that way Marines kind of understand. It's like, oh man, I might be doing this or I might not be doing this. I need to get better in that, right? So we got PME complete, no off-duty education, volunteering. Did you volunteer?
Yes, I did Toys for Tots with my friend. She like, dragged me to it, got LOAs out of that. I think I was in the process of starting college.
Okay.
So it was like the very, very beginning of it, though.
Were you a big book reader?
I did book reports, yes. Yeah.
Book
So
reports.
reports.
That's another one. What about
well, good
pros and
pros and
cons back in the
cons.
day?
Pros
What
and
was your
cons?
pros and cons?
They're like average, slightly above average, dependent.
4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5.
I'd say 4.4, 4.5.
Okay.
So not like, oh my gosh, like wow, water walker, but I mean decent. It wasn't like 4.0, 4.0 or anything.
Yeah. And the most important part, if you see, I have my hands because I've asked her 6 things. So, and the most important part for me is you were actually vocal about wanting to do it.
Yep.
Now, the other thing that I would actually include for Marines would be if you're vocal about it, expect to be challenged. What do I mean by that? Don't think that just because you asked for it, that your staff sergeant needs to go now. Here you go, Marine. Here it is. You have to board this day. Expect to be challenged because there might be some people that don't believe in you, and
Yeah,
if those,
well, you got to have those qualifications, but then you do run that risk, right? Of hey, I'm that Marine. In your case, I think I can do this. I want to do this.
yeah,
You run the risk of them being like, hell no.
yeah.
Hell no. You
But
ain't
that's
ready
what
to
that's
be
what
a-
I mean. That's what I mean. You're gonna get eyes on you because now
That's
you were
right.
vocal, and maybe some people that haven't been noticing you now they're noticing you, and you be like, let me analyze this brain a little bit
As
more.
a first sergeant major, I never really cared about that, to be honest. If somebody came to me like,
this
hey,
is section level stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
this is definitely section
it's
level
always
stuff.
lower level, Lord of the Flies weirdness. When I was in 89, 99 and people would come to me, I'd be like, yeah, let's take a look, you know?
I always respected it. If,
Yeah,
like,
because
a
it's
Marine came
like-
to me, I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
let's
let's
see
look
what we
at
could do for you.
because
let's
the
look
other
at your
school-
record. You know, because what we used to say, man, a closed mouth never gets fed.
Yeah,
Nah,
but
you
there's
out
the
there, you gotta
reason
speak up.
why a lot of closed mouths don't get fed is because also there is this school of thought
Sure.
that also happens on SDAs, by the way.
What's
it's
that?
like you have to be approached. You can't ask for it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. That's
I know that hasn't been your experience, but
That's a real thing.
It's a
Yeah.
real thing. There's some people. It's like, nah, you don't get to pick if you go on a meritorious board. We tell you if you're going on a meritorious board. Do you think that's right or that's wrong?
No, that's right, and that I mean, even that can go into a whole deeper conversation,
Super deep.
on why that's a mentality over there. What depending on, I mean, either SDA.
Oh, okay. You were specific to Paris Island.
Yes.
Like you can't be like, I'm gonna be a senior drill instructor. They're gonna be like, they're gonna look at you and be like,
that was an honest laugh, by the way. That was an honest laugh.
because I felt it.
Yeah,
She thought to
I felt
herself,
it too. It came
she
from the
thought-
diaphragm.
Yeah. Oh, dude. She thought to herself, you were a senior the day you graduated DI school, and that's how soft
The day
you
she
were.
led Paris Islands to recruit, actually.
Yeah, that's funny. But that's obviously not a thing.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
But as a young Marine in the fleet, hey, I think I could do this. Totally different.
yeah, 100%.
The depot environment, way too political.
Yeah.
All right, so that was essentially your first 4 years in the Marine Corps, which encompass a lot, really, you know? Yeah. Now, because I know that this is where you want the conversation to really get started, is we're going to be talking about time in the SDA. Mm-hmm. What drove you to, well, we kind of already know what kind of drove you to want to be a drill instructor, but I'm guessing there were some things that happened during that duty that really gave you a different mentality and a different perspective about what it really means to be a drill instructor, and maybe even what it really means to be a Marine. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm understanding you correctly, you are a hard charger, motivated Marine, gunnery sergeant right now, but you're thinking about actually leaving the Marine Corps before your desired 20. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Guys, and that's why you guys need to stay tuned to part 2 of this podcast, because we are going to be talking about everything that I just mentioned, and we're going to get to the bottom of things. Barry, where can people reach out to you at?
The teaser, the cliffhanger. That was amazing. You guys know where to find me. TikTok, @Bull52772. Instagram, Bull5277. And I have a new account. Go follow it, Bulls JDM. I am on YouTube, the A to B podcast. Hit the subscribe, hit the little bell button, get a notification every time we post something hot and fresh for you. I'm also on Twitter, Bulls JDM. Click the link in my bio. The call is free and the change will last you a lifetime. And guys, if you're out there and you don't know what to do, you're getting out, you need a job or an opportunity, hit me up, DM, whatever, I'm there.
Lily, where can people reach out to you at?
You can hit me up on Instagram, so L_BAN. It is private, but I mean, I'll probably accept you, so
good.
Hit me up.
And guys, you guys know where you guys can reach out to me at. Go to Ramos_Capital. Simply go to the link in the bio. You guys will see all of my information in there. I recently just got my mortgage license, so I am now licensed, professionally licensed.
What does that mean? Because I don't know what that means.
So now what that means is, very quickly, I am a mortgage loan originator. What that means is that now I can actually sit down with you, look at your actual, financial situation and say, hey, you're good to get a pre-qualification now, or hey man, like, how about you wait and let's get you on the right path in order for you to actually be a homeowner. So before I can only do the real estate side, right? Now I can do both. I can get you pre-approved. If you have a refinance that you want to do on your property, I can also do that. Cash out refinances, anything that has to do with the mortgage industry, I am here to help you succeed in real estate.
What if I wanted to be a realtor? Could I come work for you?
100%. Yes, we actually have a skill bridge program.
Wow.
We don't talk about it too much, but yeah, we also have a skill bridge program, both for the mortgage company and for the real estate company.
Guys, if you're in your last 2 years in the military or wherever you're at, you want a career change, you don't know what to do. You have me, you have Albert, you could do both at the same time. There's no reason for you to be scared getting out. We can make you a multi-millionaire.
Guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.